Good afternoon and welcome to the Garden of Odin. I'm doing another book review. The books I'm reviewing now are about plant propagation and seed collection. So I have 4 books. The first one, Saving Seeds. Now this isn't just about wildflowers, but it's about perennials, annuals, tree seeds, vegetables, fruits, and it covers how to collect the seed, how to prepare the seed, how and when to collect the seed, because when is just important. Whether you stratify the seed, whether you re-sow it immediately, how long it will last in storage. So this is a good, handy book. This is, even though it's a comprehensive book, it's still a lot of basic knowledge. So you might not find that you benefit that much from this book. It is, I got it for $22 though, $22.20 at Menards, so you can't really beat the price. And like I said, there is a lot of good information in here. For me, I found this not quite as helpful because of what I am looking for, and that's more wildflowers. And generally for my vegetables, I'm usually going to buy a seed packet or something from Baker's Seed for an heirloom seed. But if you do have a lot of heirloom plants and you want to keep your own seeds, again, this is a good guide. So, nothing wrong with this book. It's, I recommend it if you wanted to save seeds. Now, these 2 plant propagation books are, again, not specific for wildflowers. I think they're both excellent books. I enjoy both of them. They cover a lot of the same topics, and they cover a lot of the same techniques, but they are 2 different books. This is a DK guide by the American Horticultural Society, Plant Propagating, with an editor-in-chief. But they're lovely pictures. Just with the photos alone, you can learn a lot, and then the descriptions are also very easy to follow. So I find this book this book is not intimidating, it's helpful, and it covers perennials, cacti, so A to Z of perennials, giving you specific perennials as well as techniques, and grafting, and even sowing seeds. Well, sowing seeds, for instance, of cacti and succulents, and on to bulbous plants, which can be trickier, at least for me, than you think. So this is very useful information. I do recommend this book, and this was $35, partly I think just because of the DK. They do charge a little bit more for their books, but still, honestly, it's a good book, it's a good deal. This book I really like, Ken Druce. I'm not saying that it's a better book than Plant Propagation, and I'm not saying it's a better book than the Saving Seeds Guide, because these are 2 different topics. Similar, but different. It's, I like the content, the different plants that are covered, the layout, the photos in here are just beautiful. So for being helpful, probably the DK guide might be a little bit more helpful, but this is an enjoyable book too. And so I've probably looked through this more. The nice thing about any of these are they're great reference books, all 3 of these. So if you have a particular plant that you want to propagate, you just come to the book and you'll see, and it'll outline the different techniques. So you don't have to necessarily read through the book. These are 3 great reference books to have on your shelf. That being said, as far as how much I like those books, this is actually my favorite, one of my favorite wildflower books, Growing and Propagating Wildflowers. And this is from the University of North Carolina Press, and by Harry R. Phillips. And the techniques that are outlined in here, that are mentioned in here, or recommended for propagating, are learned in these 2 books, Plant Propagation, a DK guide, and Making More Plants by Ken Druce. So these books will teach you how to follow the techniques, and this book is covering specific, very specific plants, not types of plants. And this book is covering very specific plants, not just plants grouped together or types of plants, but very specific plants. And a lot of them. It'll tell you whether you can go with rhizomes, cuttings, seed collection. So this does also cover seed collection, spiderwort, for instance. And then, not only that, but if you wanted to know how to cultivate a large number of these plants, it will tell you that, for instance, for commercial cultivation or production notes, and then uses in the garden and landscape. So that's why I find this particular book very, very helpful. If you want to propagate your own wildflowers, if you want to start a wildflower garden, if you want to do a prairie or a meadow restoration, you really need this book. However, like I said, you're still going to want one of these two other books to give you more insight onto the propagation techniques, so that you're not confused, or that you have a reference to refer back to when you're using the Growing and Propagating Wildflowers book. So these three together are probably my go-tos for the greenhouse in the spring, but not just in the spring, but when I'm collecting cuttings in the summer and the fall and in the spring. And this one I don't use as much, but that's not particularly, I don't find this as useful for the way I garden, not because it's not a good book. So there are 3 or 4 strong recommendations for books for your gardening library. Thank you for watching.